Cricket Love Stories with me, Neel Khagram. Today at Isha Cricket Club in the sun in the UK. We're joined by Cricket Mentoring's founder, head coach, Tom Scollay. Scolls, how's it all going in the UK?
Going really well. Thanks, mate. Thank you for having me. Thanks for coming down here. Going amazingly. I've heard so much about how the weather hasn't been great this summer in the UK, but I've been fortunate, been here for nearly 2 weeks, and the sun has been shining, thankfully.
Yeah, but we've got a good day ahead. We're going to do a bit of a day in the life of a coach video with you. Before we dive into that part of the piece, for the few in the community that don't know who you are, do you want just your little background about cricket mentoring?
Yeah, sure. Well, I played professional cricket here in England for Middlesex. I grew up in Australia, but I got a British passport. Came over, was fortunate to have a few years with Middlesex. Then I sort of lost my contract, went back to Perth and started doing some private coaching. And I really wanted to give more than just go to the nets and say goodbye. I really wanted to be the mentor that I wish I had. Upon reflection of my own career, I realized that it wasn't my lack of effort or my skill, but it was my mindset more and my understanding of myself and my emotions and my thoughts that meant I didn't reach my full potential. So yeah, we're nearly 8 years into the business now. And I'm just really passionate about helping cricketers all over the world. As with your sort of channel and business, social media connects us with everyone around the world, people all around the world. So really, really pumped and excited to be able to travel, come to the UK, meet lots of people and help cricketers anywhere.
Yeah, social media is a powerful tool. And a couple of years ago, we did have the chat online on Zoom. For those that haven't watched it, we'll put the link in the YouTube card above. But in that chat, we talked about the 6 pillars of success and technical batting, the foundations being technique. Do you want to go a bit deep into that and how that then feeds into a session you're going to have with one of your athletes?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, upon reflection of my own cricket and having spent time with lots and lots of players from little kids through to professionals and international players, I realized that there's more to success than just technique. And growing up, I understood that I needed to get my technique to a certain level to be capable. I also knew that I needed to be fit and healthy. And I knew that like sleeping well and eating well was important, but I didn't understand, as I've already said, the importance of my thoughts and my emotions. So we put together a bit of a framework of the 6 pillars of success, which are technical, tactical, mental, emotional, physical, and then lifestyle, which are your behaviours and your habits away from the cricket field, away from the sporting arena, to help you, come to cricket and be your best. So something I'm really passionate about, and I think if anyone watching this, if you want to be successful in life, not just cricket, you need to sort of tick the boxes in each consistently to reach your full potential.
And then we also talked about in that chat previously about the great skill of an athlete of being present in the moment. So if you're a batter, focusing on the very next ball. Again, how does that feed into your coaching when you're like talking to a player when they're about to have a hit?
Well, my starting point with coaching is asking the player where they're at. What do you want to work on today? And a lot of people come to us because they've seen our content. They see that we talk about mindset, that I like helping people with mindset. So they might say, I'm struggling with my mindset. So I always try and meet them where they're at. Some people will say, look, I'm going really well, but I've got a few technical things. So we usually have an hour when I'm here, and I'm sort of trying to get to know people as quickly as possible, get as much background on them as quickly as possible. So understanding where they're at, and then we will just try and pull apart the layers. Most people have the answers within them. It's just trying to shift their thoughts, shift their attention, and get their own thinking out of the way sometimes. Get them focused on what's relevant in this moment right now, because so many people have really active minds. They're thinking about lots of things, and those thoughts, they think are helping, but they get in the way. So it's actually going from highly sort of lots of thoughts in the conscious mind to more trusting yourself, trusting your instinct, trusting your subconscious. So we have a framework around that. We have a routine around that. And I try and encourage players to practice that, teach them the theory. Then we do a little bit of practice, and then they go away with hopefully some skills that they can implement.
And then finally, before we go and film the session, after the player's done with you having a hit, what is the next step for them? What are the things that you're asking them to do away from the nets and such?
Well, I try and give them as much as I can, as I say, in all the 6 pillars throughout the session. Then I record a lot of the session. I wear my mics. I give them the videos to watch back on, because they'll then be able to sort of remind themselves of the things we've spoken about. They'll be able to learn from those things. And then we sort of offer the cricket mentoring community where we can stay in touch, we can stay connected, we can stay working together. if they want to. Some people think an hour together solves some problems and they're happy with that. Others want that ongoing connection and sort of support. So I guess it's up to each individual. We are a business. We sort of try and help as many people as we can. But yeah, we're a coaching business where if people want more, they can join the community, and then we can do more one-on-ones and do whatever people want, really.
Perfect, Skulls. Can't wait to film this session.
Awesome. Thanks, mate. Going back to your trigger, why do you trigger? Why would you want to trigger?
I think it's more, sometimes I've been a bit like stiff at the crease in terms of I've had like coaches say talking about like creating that inertia with the bat, and like if you're facing faster bowling, you've got to get that inertia going sort of quicker, I guess. Yep. So it's more, I felt if I'm not triggering, I feel like I can kind of sometimes get stuck at the crease, and you know, if it's a short ball or a full ball, and I'm thinking maybe a trigger, will that allow me to potentially have a bit more weight on my back foot so I can move a bit quicker into the ball potentially for that full ball, and then be in a position to sort of navigate the short ball as it comes, kind of thing. So
when you did trigger, did you just do one?
It was more like, it was more just a simple back and across sort of movement. Yeah. And then I guess I've read, I don't know why, like I read Greg Chappell's book recently. He talks about the best players have that weight mostly on their back foot upon release, so they can, you know, the full ball's the one that sort of gets people out mostly.
And
but
like 80% of balls are full, and you got less reaction time when it's full. A, with the short ball, they hold on to the ball longer. And B, it loses pace off the wicket. So full ball is the one you always got to hunt. And I completely agree with what you're saying. And in England, if you're like, you might trigger and then you're just waiting forever, and it's completely different. I just think you want to. There's no right answer. It's like figuring out what works for you. And sometimes it might work, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, this isn't just serving the purpose. My body's not moving, so you tinker. Like for me, most of my career, I didn't feel the need, even playing fast bowling, to move my feet. But I never wanted to be still, so I'd always have like a sort of hands going. And then in my last season and pre-season, for whatever reason, we were in the indoor nets, and I just felt rushed or a bit scared as I was getting older, and my eyes might have been going. But I started to do like a back and across and load up this back foot, and then it just felt like it gave me more time. So I think, what I actually think as well is the best players are able to adjust. So I speak to Chris Rogers a lot, who's one of my best mates, and he talks about when he scored 100 against South Africa in South Africa on a tricky wicket. Against Stain, who bowled sort of fast in swing, top of off with the odd bumper, odd Yorker, pretty traditional bowler. He would trigger pretty normally, like you're saying. Morkel, lots of bounce. He would trigger back and try and get deeper. And for Lander, who was the slower of the three and just nibble and try and hit the front pad, he would trigger sort of forward into the ball. So I think you might I think it's opening up your mind that it's not has to be set for everything. You might face a doubler from one end and the quickest bloke in the state from the other end. So for the quickest bloke, you might actually bat with your feet in your crease and trigger and like just wait back, and you're sort of ready to go. And then you're facing the doubler, and you're out of your crease, you're still, you're waiting. So it's just playing around with it. Because at the end of the day, batting's about finding a way to score runs. It's not about how you look. It's not about how you feel. It's just how do you get the job done.
Okay.
So I think like your knowledge of it is excellent. You're smart. You understand it. And it's just like, what purpose is it serving?
Do you want to maybe have a look at me doing a few trigger and go from there?
The other thing, getting your stance from me, the only other thing that I see in your sort of setup is this grip. Like it looks like it's sort of pulling to the side a bit. And then like this thumb isn't on the bat around. And look, you seem to make it work. Like when I saw you pick it, I was like, oh, that's interesting. I'm not saying it's wrong. Like it's the way you do it right now. If you can access the whole ground, that's fine. But I do see a lot of players, pass me back for a second, see a lot of players who sort of try and start with their V on the back of the bat, which is traditional, and some Steve Smith and others are underneath. But mostly you want your V traditionally on the top there. And I see players who start there and then they pull into this sort of position. And they're completely like their V is now around the side, and it limits them a lot.
So just something to be curious about. You don't have to change anything now, but it looks like you're sort of like...
I guess being a right arm dominant leg spin bowler, my issue's been bottom hand strong
Everyone,
kind of thing.
because, everyone, bottom hand. Exactly.
So I guess I kind of did that to
relax
mitigate the grip.
Yeah.
And one of the best batsmen in our club sort of, that's what he did, so I just did it.
Yeah, cool. Like it looks like, as I say, it looks like it's working.
Okay.
But if you're finding you're limited, getting your stance.
So it's more,
Yeah, it's
like
more
that.
exactly this being there, but you can still have the palm off.
Yeah.
So you can have all fingers on the bat. Let me show you. It's probably easier. So it's sort of like all fingers are on the bat.
Yeah.
But the palm's off.
Yeah, gotcha.
So it's not like that.
Yeah.
And it's not like that.
Yeah.
Sort
Okay.
of all these three fingers are pretty much just resting, but there's a bit of a pinch in the thumb and the index finger.
Okay.
Bit of a pinch there.
Yeah.
So it's not strong enough to hold the bat up completely.
Yeah.
Right. It's mostly those two.
Yeah.
But it's not floppy.
Okay.
So it's sort of there. These three are just relaxing, and then you can bring the bottom hand in to cut and pull and clip if you need to. But again, like this is your way. You've got to figure it out to make it work for you and your body.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then that thumb's staying round.
Okay.
It'll feel weird.
Yeah, so I was like that before more and really trying to, and then when I say, oh, yeah, okay.
So maybe it's in the middle. You were palm, and then you went to really light, and so it's just finding the middle ground, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, just play around with it, and that's something you can do with Rory or whatever.
Yeah.
Doing underarms, doing.
Yeah. Okay, cool. No, that's good. I like that.
Play around with it, just constantly little tinkering.
And what will that do? Will that allow sort of?
I think it usually usually helps you hit through the offside.
Okay.
And it'll also just help. I think when you need to use your bottom hands, it's just there.
Yeah.
As opposed to like it sort of not doing anything for you.
Or taking over really late.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like if you're doing power hitting or something like that. Okay. All right.
Cool,
Like
but
something I
it
could
looks
try
good.
on.
Like, and I think, as I said at the start, I think a big thing is like technically you move fine.
Okay.
So it's the thoughts of okay, I want to get in the game and score big runs.
Yeah.
It's shifting your thinking because you're capable.
Mm.
You're capable. I can't see that. Oh, you'd get found out.
Yeah. Okay.
From 5 minutes of sidearming.
Yeah.
So you're capable. It's just how do you? Yeah, then think about
Go about that. Yeah.
getting big scores.
Yeah. We can talk about that after.
It's
Yeah.
like, as an 8, like a 40 not out or something, or a 61 or something, really quite beneficial. But as a 5, you want to get hundreds.
Yeah.
The team needs it 3
Yeah.
to 10.
Yeah.
So it's just a shift in your mindset.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll try a few, maybe trigger, and then go from there. Okay.
So when I'm coaching, I'm always just trying to give value. And like over in England, I've got lots of these 1 hour, one-off sessions. So I'm trying to give as much value as I can in an hour. So I'm probably talking a lot more than I normally would. But one thing I think is important with coaching is only talking when you think you can add value, not talking for the sake of talking. I think some coaches do too much, and if someone's going nicely, it's about just letting them go, and they've got to figure things out for themselves as much as anything.
Well
Even there, I think that length,
Yeah.
still can try and just get the head slightly further forward.
Okay. And would that be?
Your hands have to be in front of your pad.
Yeah.
So we sort of want to play the ball under our eyes as much as we can.
Yeah.
So get in your stance and go forward again.
So I was back in
It's like it's this length. It's trying to like hit some, so you might have to release that back foot
Yeah.
as opposed to sort of like just pushing your hands without your head and weight going.
And is that so? In terms of setup, like where would your head position?
I think again,
You're trying to really look for it there.
Well, like you said, you're looking for the front foot.
Yeah.
Looking for the full ball.
Yeah.
So setup is whatever is comfortable to get you going forward and back.
Okay.
But when you see the line that's straight,
Yeah.
it's trying to keep this foot under you
Yeah.
and commit your head out over the ball. Like get out and then release your
Yeah.
back foot. So it's sort of like you're here.
Yeah.
You see that it's full and you thrust your head out and your weight comes down. You keep your foot under you.
Yeah.
And this leg actually stiffens.
Yeah. More like.
More like so your leg stays out of the way. When it bends, that's in the way, but you stiffen it.
Yeah.
You hinge here. Head gets out over it.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to let your back leg come.
And like we talked about sort of, so sometimes I feel like if I get my head forward in the setup, my weight goes on my front foot then. So it's more trying to just find that balance between on that back foot to spring, but then also looking for the ball, I guess. Yeah.
I'm not saying change your setup.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's more when you see the ball on the leg side.
Okay, yeah.
Keeping your foot under you and trying to commit your head out over the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah?
So that was my biggest thing. It's like those leg stump balls, it was sort of the same step for the off drive. Whereas like I've been really trying to work hard on, smaller step and get out in front.
Let me show you an example of KP. He stiffens that front leg.
Yeah.
And his head is well out past his front foot. Yeah?
Yeah.
Makes contact early in relation to his leg, but it's still relatively close to his eyes.
Yeah.
And then after he hits the ball, the head's still pushing forward, so he ends up in this sort of position where the back leg has to come through.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So it's not so much like starting with your head forward.
Yeah.
But it's being in a position that you move forward when it's full, back when it's short. You see that it's leg side, and you're trying to like almost, you do come across a little bit. But you're trying to almost like keep that leg under you, really get your head forward, hit the shot, and then your weight, your head and your weight going, head and your hands and arms going forward. Yeah. Takes your weight with it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, makes sense. I remember there was that, KP masterclass. He said the only technical thing he did was when he wasn't hitting the ball well was
the ball.
Get his head forward. I think that was pretty cool. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So you've probably grown up taking a big step, head staying back, and sort of like you get in trouble LB. You said because and I was the same, but my head would fall over. Yeah. So maybe it's just like heads back, big step, and you're playing round yourself. Yeah. As opposed to sort of like getting out over it.
Yeah.
Yep. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I guess sometimes then maybe if I was triggering, I was sort of potentially going a little bit, but doesn't feel like I'm falling over today at all.
Good.
No.
Looks
okay.
Good,
yeah.
Looks good.
All right. Great.
It's just the outcome is what we're looking at. I think your setup looks fine.
Okay.
There's nothing that is a red flag that says we've got to change something.
Yeah, okay.
And I think you're moving pretty well. I think you can get back and across a bit quicker and get better.
Yeah.
I think apart from that second last one we overstrode, I think you're moving into the front foot nicely. Yeah. I think we're just a little bit there as opposed to always trying to land across. Other than that, I think you're moving well.
Yeah. So if I do a few little back foot and then work on those two things, and I can have a little play with my grip as well, see if that changes anything. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Your foundations are good. What are you doing in spin?
It's more like a game plan and more how I can set up for spin differently. I sort of I open my stance a little bit, and maybe on my balls and my feet a little bit more and ready to sort of pounce a little bit more with spin. But if you can maybe just have a look at what I'm doing there and see.
I think spin is the same. Is the foundation of your technique is the same.
Yeah.
But it's very much more tactical.
Yeah, sure.
Pace is complete reacting. And you react to where the ball is, and whereas spin is you might have 6 options, but it's working out what's my best option. To this spinner in this situation on this wicket. Because you might face an offie at one end and a completely different offie at the other end. One could be ragging it and bouncing it. One could be skidding on. So you would have 2 different plans. Two different setups. So we'll have a look. To me, so much of spin is just being smart.
And then it's about sort of, with the best players, they say identify 3 shots if it's, I'm going to sweep or I'm going to hit down the ground, and then they sort of commit to their skill set kind of thing.
I believe I'd rather, let's say you're going to train 5 hours a week on your batting and you're going to do half the time on spin, which is pretty uncommon. Most people do 80% pace. Let's say you do 2 hours a week on just spin. I would rather a player gets really good at one thing that they can go to and trust and execute 19 times out of 20 then okay at 3 things.
Yeah, sure.
So for me, towards the end of my career, I barely used my feet because I became really good at sweeping. So if I was ever in a panic situation where I needed to score, I'd go to my sweep. And more often than not, I'd execute it. So for me, I'd rather that than, should I run down? Should I?
A,
you're not as competent. B, you're not as clear.
Yeah.
The clearer you can be on, I will go to my sweep because that's my best.
Yeah.
Or I'll run down when I need to.
Yeah.
You'll also be more competent at it.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
practice everything.
Yeah.
I think the nets is a great time to explore and try things.
Yeah.
But as you get really clear on what you feel most comfortable with, what you're better at,
Yeah.
just go all in on that.
Sure.
So do 80% of your spin training, focus on getting that as good as it can
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
And 20% sort of still expanding other parts.
Sure. I guess mine then would be sort of just trying to hit spin straight down the ground and then just probably playing a cut shot, I'd say, my two. Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's have a look.
Cool. Yeah.
Another thing with coaching is trying to understand where the player's at. So he's a first grade cricketer in Australia. He's in his 20s. He's intelligent. He understands the game really well. So I can go deeper into things. I can give him a lot of ideas and he can process them. Whereas with kids, you've got to be a bit... Like, I always think coaching is about keeping it simple. The more simple your messaging can be for anyone, the better. But you can throw more ideas at someone like him than you can at a kid.
Yeah. Oh, you bowl. Yeah, like you said, adapting to the situation a little bit more. I feel like I'm confident to hit down the ground. It's just my biggest issue would be how many balls to give myself before I sort of say, okay, let's really get into it. So sometimes, like, I've felt good, but maybe I've gone too early. Like, I've maybe got caught at mid-on or something like that, you know, not after the 7-8 balls kind of thing, rather than maybe giving myself 15 balls or something like that.
Yeah, I think that you've got to practice it so much that you can play at fifth ball.
Yeah.
And you can execute it 8 or 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
But then it always becomes, what does the game require of me now?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, okay.
Like if you're needing 4 and over,
Yeah.
and you got a single first ball, your mate at the other end hits a boundary and he gets a single.
Yeah.
Well, you got 6 that over, you're probably not, it doesn't require you to get on with it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you might think, oh, the quicks are coming back on, I want to get ahead.
Yeah.
So it's always just juggling.
Yeah.
What does the game require of me now?
Okay.
Do I need to take this risk?
Yeah.
Like, I was a good sweeper, but if I'm playing 2-day cricket, 90 over cricket, and I'm facing a good spinner who's their best bowler,
Yeah.
I don't need to take that risk.
No, that's okay.
I'm happy to just like knock it back. If an example, I got runs one day and they had Liam O'Connor, played in the Big Bash.
Yeah.
Leggy, who
Yeah.
sort of slides them in.
Yeah.
And I had some success. Whenever he missed down leg, I swept him.
Yeah.
But I was trying to judge line more than anything. As soon as he's on the stumps, I was just blocking him back, blocking him back, not trying to take a risk, not running down, not letting my ego say I can get him.
Yeah.
And then if he was short, I'd try and punch him through there for a single.
Yeah.
But I was willing to sit on him because he was their best bowler. Then I was scoring it, I got 80 or something. But
Yeah.
realising, what does the game need? Like, if you're facing the opposition's, like, they're accurate, they're a good spinner, it's a 2-day game, you might not need to do that. You're manipulating, manoeuvring, he's bowling the odd bad ball, your mate's at the other end scoring. But then maybe you come in at 8, 7, and you need 7 and over, and you think, okay, it's 4th ball, and you think, if I don't do something here, mid on, mid off are up, field's in tight, if I don't take a risk, they're not missing. You might be facing Kuhneman or someone, right? You've got to think, I've got to take a risk, 4th ball, to get him back to get my singles. And you've got to be brave. Otherwise, you'll get to the 9th or 10th ball,
Yeah.
and the pressure's like
Yeah.
mounting, and you're then coming from a real place of anxiety,
Yeah.
as opposed to like still being quite clear and free.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like there's no right answer really. It's got to go so deep into your skills to get really good at it,
Yeah.
and then working out what does the game require of me now.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, definitely does.
Managing
Yeah.
the risk versus the reward. The reward is I get a boundary, but I also get the fielder back, and that gives me low risk moving forward. But do I need that reward now with the risk that I could get caught at mid on?
Yeah, that's
Could
right.
get stumped.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sort of working that out, and that doesn't have to sort of be like sitting down. It's like just quickly manoeuvring. Like, and the more cricket you play,
Yeah.
you can just read the situation really quickly without even thinking consciously about it. You can just say 40 off 10 overs, 5 wickets in hand. I don't need to take a risk, or 7 and over. I need to take a risk.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
working out
Working that situation. Yeah. And the other thing I wanted to ask was like, what have you found some of the best batters do in terms of, like, I've been sort of 7 and 8, and sometimes you come out in the middle and you're already sort of fried. You sort of feel already a bit mentally not as sharp because you've been sitting down for 2 hours. Do you have any sort of
Well, I think
tips or
if you tried,
tricks on?
you're probably too intensely watching the game.
Yeah.
You
So
want to
it's
be really relaxed until you
more
need
relaxed,
to
yeah.
use that energy.
yeah.
So I would just say, like, be aware of what's going on, but find a way to just be just chilling.
Yeah. It's
Find a
more.
way to, like, sit and talk to the boys, read a newspaper, have a nap, whatever.
Yeah.
Because our brain is a resource, and we want to keep that resource, our sort of water tank, as full as possible.
Yeah.
And if we're starting to use it, it's like turning on a tap at the bottom, the water tank drains. So we're going to keep that tap off, keep our water tank as full as possible till we need it. So batting at 7 or 8. Listen to music, talk to the boys, read the paper, go and make a coffee, like anything you can to just be quite chilled. You don't want to be too intense.
No, that's right. Yeah.
Otherwise you get drained. So I think, until it's such a funny game, right? You bat down there, you don't know when you're going to be in.
No.
So like it could be 5 for 10 in the 4th over, or it could be 5 for 500 in the 88th over. So you've got to be really calm and chilled until I'm in. The wicket falls, I'm in, this is my moment. And then you've still got 90 seconds till you face your first ball. So it can be a build. It can be a build up
Yeah.
to when you need to be on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to be on until the moment the bowler lets go of that first ball.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the
That's
hours
right.
before, the minute before, it's still just building ready for that first ball.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah?
No, thank you.
Mate,
Appreciate it.